1988. I went totally broke just to scrape together $100 to get a wife. But 3 months later, she ghosted me and ran off with someone else. Just like that, I became the biggest laughingstock in Loan village. I left everything behind and spent years wandering across China, working as a carpenter while searching for her everywhere. Then, finally, one day, I was building furniture for a family, and I ran right into her. She was holding a grandkid. My eyes went red with rage instantly. Shaking, I grabbed her hand and said, "Do you have any idea? I've spent 30 years looking for you. Give me back my $100. The world went black, and I passed out right there. When I opened my eyes again, I was staring at a brand new modular cabinet. This cabinet, it was the very first piece I ever made. After finishing my apprenticeship, it was also my first time ditching my master's old school designs to try something totally fresh. In a daze, I realized I'd actually been reborn. Looking at this cabinet, my feelings were a mess. Gotta admit, when it comes to mortise and tenon joints, I've definitely surpassed my master. Not a single nail in the whole set. Perfectly seamless. Solid as a rock. Even the carving details on the doors were pretty impressive. But after living 2 lifetimes, I now looked at it and thought it looked tacky as hell. Just as I was about to tear it apart and start over, Da Huang started barking like crazy outside. Then, my third sister, Lu Xiaoxie, walked in wrapped in her white scarf. I smiled and asked, "Sis, what are you doing here in this cold?" "I was worried you'd have nothing to eat," she replied, "so I brought you some dried sweet potatoes." She set down the basket and got straight to the point. "You're turning 22 after the new year. Time to get a wife and start a family. If you're down for that, son girl, I'll go drop off the $100 bride price tomorrow. Let's lock it in. We can have the wedding before the little new year. That way, you won't be lonely for the holidays." I immediately shut it down. "Sun Yuzhen? No way. I'm not feeling it." "Fine," she asked. "Then, who do you have your eye on?" Without hesitating, I said, "I'm only into Shen YY." Sis was shocked. "The official's daughter, the Shen family's baby girl. Do you have any idea how much they're asking for a bride price?" $10. A cool one, $0. Even with my husband being the village chief, my family couldn't even pull that together. I believed her. My brother-in-law, Zhao Jin, was way too generous. That's why he let my sister constantly raid their pantry to help me out. She even wanted to handle my entire marriage situation. She started lecturing me. "Little bro, you gotta marry someone in your own league. With our situation, we can't afford someone like YY. Be real, and think about Sun Yuzhen again. She's the oldest. She'll definitely take better care of you than YY." I still shook my head. In my past life, I listened to her and married Sun Yuzhen. By spring, she couldn't handle being poor and ran off with someone else. I could never show my face in Laiwan village again, so I stood my ground. "Sis, in this life, it's Shen Weiwei or no one won." She was getting desperate. "I know she's gorgeous, but that $0 price tag is just to keep us country folks away. Her dad just wants her to marry into the city. He wants her to be a city girl. Don't you get it?" She wasn't wrong. In my last life, Weiwei did marry into the city. Too bad her husband was bad news and died only 3 years later. Sis kept going. "And another thing, Weiwei has been spoiled her whole life. Could she really look after you like Sun Yuzhen?" I couldn't disagree more. Weiwei and I were classmates for 9 years. I knew she wasn't high maintenance at all. She was incredibly kind. After her husband died, she held her family together and never remarried. She handled everything perfectly, and even raised her daughter to get into college. Everyone in the 10 surrounding villages only had good things to say, so I wasn't backing down. No matter how much my sister talked, it was useless. Finally, she threw down a challenge. You want Wai? Go earn $10 first. I nodded. Fine, sis. Check back in 7 days. She looked at me like I was crazy. If you can legitimately make $10 in a week, I'll do whatever it takes to get her into this family. I smiled. It's a deal. Get home safe, sis. She waved me off. You're too much. I'm out. For the next 7 days, I lived at my workbench. I transformed that basic cabinet into something sleek and modern. It was total glow-up, stylish from every angle. I finished it with tung oil to make the wood grain pop. It had that organic modern vibe that wouldn't be trendy for decades. Plus, the 4 modular units and the side table could be rearranged into tons of different styles. On Laba Festival, even though it wasn't a market day, people were out in force. I loaded the cabinet onto my cart and patted the edges, lashed it down tight, and headed for the big market in Yikujing. It's on the outskirts of town and it's huge. Even city people head there to shop. I was banking on a rich city buyer, spotting my work and paying a premium. The gravel road was so bumpy, my hands went numb from the vibrations. When I finally got to the market, it was packed. A sea of people. Vendors were still pouring in since the weather was nice. I set up on a dry patch of ground and put the cabinet together in its most classic layout. Then I just sat there, snacking on my sweet potatoes. Modular furniture was big in the South, but it was a total novelty up here. Mine was the only one in the entire market. By noon, when the sun finally had some bite, an old man stopped to check it out. How much for this? He asked, tapping the surface. It's the latest modular style from the South, sir, I said with a grin. Perfect for a wedding gift, total status symbol. And this is the only one in the county. $100. That includes delivery and setup. He immediately backed away and bolted. I didn't let it get to me and kept eating. The basket weaver next to me couldn't believe it. 200? You won't sell that in 10 days, let alone today. Way too expensive for anyone around here. I just laughed. Every piece has its person. You never know. Right then, a middle-aged couple stopped. The woman was wearing a very trendy ski jacket. She stood out from everyone else immediately. I could tell she was vibing with it. Her eyes were glowing. The husband lit a cigarette and finally spoke up. Kid, what's the price on this? I stepped forward. Sir, I can see you know quality. I picked that spot, hoping some rich city person would vibe with these modular cabinets, and I'd secure a serious bag. The gravel road was a total nightmare. Shaking my hands until they were completely numb. Finally made it to the Yikujing market. From a distance, it was just a sea of people, endless. With the weather actually being decent today, vendors were just pouring in from everywhere. I found a dry spot and unloaded the cabinets, setting them up in the most popular layout. Then I just chilled on the cart handle and started snacking on my dried sweet potatoes. These modular sets were a huge trend in the South, but up here in Baigang they were a total novelty. In today's market, mine was the only one of its kind. Around noon, the cold sun finally had a little warmth. An old man finally stopped to take a look. He spent ages feeling the edges and corners, then tapped the surface. How much for the furniture? I smiled. Sir, this is the modular style that's viral in the South. Huge flex for a wedding or a daughter's dowry. And this set is literally the only one. You won't find a second one in all of Baigang. Price, $200. I'll even handle delivery and setup. The old man just shrugged and walked off. I didn't let it kill my mood. I just sat back down and kept eating. The basket weaver nearby, though, lost his cool. Kid, you're really asking one? Forget today. You won't sell that in 10 days. It's too much. Nobody around here has that kind of cash. I just laughed. My guy, every piece has its owner. You never know. As soon as I said that, a middle-aged couple stopped by. The wife was wearing this super trendy ski jacket, next to all the other bulky outfits. She had major main character energy. I saw her eyes light up immediately. I knew I had them. Finally, after the man lit up a cigarette, he asked, "Kid, what are you asking for these cabinets?" I stepped up. "Sir, I can tell you're an expert who knows quality. Forget the price for a sec. What do you think of the craftsmanship here?" He took a drag and felt the low, nearly invisible joints. "The skill takes 30 years to master. Did your master build these, kid?" I thought to myself, 30 years. He nailed it. Since I was reborn from my 50s. That's exactly how much experience I have. I gave him a thumbs up. "Sir, you really know your stuff. A master spent 6 months handcrafting this set. Only one in Baigang. I won't overcharge you. 200. This set in your home would be a massive flex." He looked at his wife. "Does that include delivery and setup?" "Absolutely," I said. "Full service." He nodded. "All right, load them up and follow us." "Bet," I replied. Totally hype. The basket weaver was low-key dying of jealousy. $200 is what he makes for 1,000 baskets. I followed the couple to the government housing compound, sweating like crazy. My leftover sweet potatoes were mushy from the heat. I hauled everything upstairs in one go. The wife handed me a glass of warm water. "Thanks for the hard work, young man." I took the glass. "No problem, ma'am. I got this." Installing modular cabinets is simple, but it took a minute, because they had to clear some space. I was at it until about 4 or 5 p.m. Finally finished. She handed me 120 10 yuan bills. I counted them twice to make sure it was legit. I thanked them a ton and left with my cart. On the way back, I was low-key, screaming with joy, but kept it cool. At the junction to Yikujing, I headed downhill, straight to my sister's place in Siave village. At the same time, third sis was home stressing out, even though she told me to earn the money for Weiwei myself. She was secretly already on it. Since our parents died, I was the only one left in Liuan village, with no job and no wife. If she didn't look out for me, who would? My other sisters. Big sister usually just borrows our food whenever she visits. Second sister is struggling too. Way too many kids. She just didn't have the resources. Fourth sister's husband is okay. He's a village chief too, but he's always thinking I'm judging him. Doesn't matter how much I explain. Asking him for help was a dead end. Third sis had been worrying so much. She even borrowed from her in-laws. But she only got $600. That's not even half. You can't pay the bride price and then have zero for the wedding. Suddenly, the dog started barking. I walked in, carrying her second kid, Xiaowen. Sis, I called out. She came out. "What are you doing here?" "Put him down. Let him play." As I put him down, I gave him a stern look. "If I catch you playing by the river again, I'm seriously gonna ground you." Sis brushed it off. "The river is frozen anyway. Don't scare him." I just made a face at him. In my last life, Xiaowen was the family's biggest tragedy. He was always playing by that river. It's fine while it's frozen, but when the spring flood hits, it's a different story. I couldn't really say it out loud, so I just kept scaring Xiaowen, while planning to bring him to stay with me. Once the spring thaw arrives next year, maybe then I can fix this regret. Honestly, my sister really has my back. She cares so much that even I think she's the ultimate ride-or-die sister. For real, sis asked, "Why are you here?" She patted Xiaowen's head and gave him a candy. wiping away the tears in her eyes. I said confidently, I'm here to bring you some cash. Then, I pulled the money from my coat. 200 yuan. Not a penny more. And not a penny less. Right in front of her. I have zero secrets from her. She saw that thick stack of 10 yuan bills and was absolutely floored. She lowered her voice and gasped, "Little bro, where did you get all this money?" I looked her in the eye. "It's all legit, I promise. I'm giving it all to you. You gotta help me get Shen YY into this family." She got even more anxious. "I'm asking you, seriously," I replied. "I earned it with my own hands. That modular cabinet. Sold it in half a day. The cash is all right here." She asked skeptically, "For real?" I nodded firmly. "I wouldn't lie to you of all people." Sis turned around excitedly. She folded her hands toward our old home and started whispering to our late parents. "Mom, Dad, our boy finally made it. He's actually doing something. Please watch over him from above. Bless him with a good wife and a happy life." I asked, "Sis, what are you mumbling about?" She turned back and said, "Nothing." She counted out 20 bills and stuffed them back into my hand. "Take this, Secretary Shen. Only asked for a 10 yuan bride price." I pushed it back and said, "But we still need money for the wedding." She wouldn't hear it. "Do you really think I'd let you pay for that? Even if our parents are gone, you still have 4 sisters looking out for you." My voice got a bit shaky. "Sis," she waved me off. "Cut it out. Don't give me that emotional stuff." She breathed a sigh of relief, gripping that 10 yuan. She shook it and said, "Even with this, getting past her dad isn't going to be easy." I grinned. "With your help, we're golden." She gave me a look. "Stop with the smooth talk." Then she went and grabbed some flour and rice. Hanging them on my shoulder, she said, "I won't keep you for dinner. You must be exhausted. Go home and get some rest." Then she remembered it was the Laba festival. She rushed into the kitchen and filled a large lunchbox with Laba porridge. "Take this. Consider it a holiday treat." I nodded. "I'm heading out then." She waved me off. "Go on, get going." I put the supplies and the porridge on my cart and left as my sister watched me go. When she snapped out of it, she felt a bit dazed. Hansu was finally a grown man. He made a cool one, 200 yuan on his first big job. Who knows, he might become a big boss soon. Thinking of this, she straightened her back, shouted, "Xiao Wu, watch Xia Wen," and headed straight for the village office. Meanwhile, I hummed a song on my way home. Da Huang was barking and wagging his tail behind the old wooden gates. I opened the gate and patted his head. I poured the laba porridge into the pot to heat it up. Then the dog and I finished the porridge together as our holiday meal. Afterward, I looked around the yard, knowing the road to a happy life was still long. A happy life isn't just about marrying Shen YY. I need the skills to actually provide for her. Otherwise, it would be better if she married that city guy. At least she'd have a few good years. So, once the engagement is settled, I have to upgrade this place. The main house, with its 3 rooms, looked impressive 10 years ago, but now, everyone wants red brick houses. These old materials aren't durable. It won't be long before they start crumbling. The east room is my workshop. It's drafty as hell, and the mud and straw walls are basically falling apart. Besides that, I need to build a real bathroom. A proper flush toilet with a septic tank. It's not just for YY. I can't stand the village outhouses, either. Mosquitoes in summer, freezing in winter. It's definitely not a vibe. Anyway, there's a lot to do, and everything costs money. Looks like I need to build a few more modular sets. Gotta stack that cash. But all of that happens after I marry YY. I wonder if my sister and her husband can actually pull off this proposal today. Meanwhile, my brother-in-law was pedaling his bike, taking my sister straight to the Shen house. She had returned all the money she borrowed from her brothers. Now, the only support Zhao Jin could give her was his presence. He'd help speak up for his brother-in-law. He knew Shen Jishu wasn't an easy guy to deal with though, and that 10 yuan bride price was public knowledge. No one knew if the Shens would ask for even more. But no matter what, he was all in and he had to help me win her over. As it got dark, the Shen family's row of red brick rooms really stood out in the village. When my sister and her husband arrived, it caused quite a stir. My brother-in-law called out, "Secretary Shen, you home? It's Zhou Jin from Xiaowei village." Shen Jishu replied quickly, "Come in, come in." People didn't really lock their doors back then. Even so, the two of them stayed outside politely until Shen Jishu came out in his coat. Then, they all headed inside. Stepping into the main hall, Shen Jishu took a pack of cigarettes from his wife. He opened them and offered one to Zhou Jin. He stuck to his pipe though. "I'm just used to this," he explained. A second later, he saw my sister place 2 cartons of cigarettes on the table. "Zhou Jin, why are you spending so much?" Zhou Jin looked at his wife and said with a grin, "Old Shen, we're here to talk about some happy news. If you agree, our 2 families are going to be very close." Hearing this, the sharp old Shen immediately knew what was up. He got straight to the point. "So, who are you speaking for?" My brother-in-law smiled. "My brother-in-law Lu Hansu, from your village. He just finished his apprenticeship. He's talented, hardworking, and strong. You've seen it yourself." But, before he could finish, Shen Jishu cut him off. "Wait, Zhou Jin. You know what I've told everyone, right? Wai Vai is my favorite daughter. She's a high school grad and a real beauty. She deserves a good life in the city, right?" Zhou Jin's face tensed up, but he stood his ground. He pulled out 10 yuan, wrapped in red paper, and placed it on the table. "The 10 yuan bride price you asked for. My brother-in-law earned it all on his own. He didn't even let the cash get warm before asking us to come propose." Just then, 2 pigtails peeked out from behind the curtain. It was the famous Shen Yy. Hearing that the proposal was from me, she felt a spark. She already thought I was reliable, and knowing I earned that 10 yuan myself really impressed her. However, Shen Jishu wasn't letting up easily. In his mind, that 10 yuan was definitely pooled by Zhou Jin's family, and they were just saying, "Hanzu earned it." The way he saw it, that 10 yuan was definitely pooled by Zhou Jin's family. He thought they were capping about Hanzhu earning it, just to set the 2 kids up. He paused for a sec and then said, "Hanzhou, I know the kid. He's grounded, and he works hard, but he doesn't have city status. He's not a city boy. Let's be real here. My girl would still be out there grinding in the fields. She'd never escape the farm life. So look, Zhao Jin, I'm going to have to pass." With that, Secretary Shen stood up and straight up pushed the cigarettes back into Zhou Jin's hands. His mind was made up. They left his place. On their way back, Zhou Jin and his wife stopped by my house. Da Huang barked as they headed straight for the workshop. I was still under the lights, working away. Total focus. My brother-in-law sighed. The rejection was written all over his face. I got up to pour them some water, but Sis beat me to it. I offered my brother-in-law a cigarette. "I should have sent a middleman instead," I said softly. "Then you wouldn't have had to deal with the rejection." He waved me off. Exhaling a cloud of smoke, he said, "It's not about my pride. I felt like a total boss, holding that cash. My confidence was 10-10. The problem is, old Shen doesn't believe you earned it, And that be real talk he gave. I didn't have a comeback for it. I nodded. He was being real. You can't argue with that. It's fine, bro, he continued. I heard some guy from the city already proposed. Shen Shishu already took his gifts. So, Hanzu, are you scared? Before he could finish, I cut in. Can you find out who this guy is? I bet he's a massive red flag. Something feels off. Zhao Jin didn't take me seriously. He just thought I was being a hater because I was into YY. But he nodded anyway. I'll ask around for you. I'll check it out. I added, one more thing, bro. See if anyone else wants these modular cabinets. 200 a set. He nodded. Bet. I'll ask. I stood up. You guys should head back before it gets dark. I won't keep you. On the way home, Zhao Jin rode his bike in silence for a while. Then he finally said, Hey, did you notice? Hanzo is like a different person. Total vibe shift. Third sis didn't catch it at all. Not really, she said. He's still stubborn as hell, stressing me out with this whole YY obsession. If he'd just marry the sun girl like I said, he'd be set and wouldn't have to struggle so much. Zhou Jin cut in. Look, that sun girl. I heard she's moving kind of shady with a few guys. Just rumors. I don't know for sure. Third sis was shocked. For real, he sighed. We'll find out eventually. Can't hide that kind of tea forever. She waved it off. Whatever. Just check out that city guy. So Hanzo can move on. He needs to get over it. Zhou Jin agreed. But he couldn't stop thinking about Hanzhou. He didn't act like a hot-headed 20-year-old. He felt different. He acted like an old pro, like Secretary Shen himself. Next morning, the wind was biting. I woke up early and made some porridge with dried sweet potatoes. Had it with some pickled veggies. A simple breakfast. I gave the leftovers to Da Huang. He was loving it. Then I got to work. Gloves on, earplugs in. I was using the electric saw on the wood today. I was going to be busy all morning. So when someone started calling at the gate around 9, I didn't hear a thing. I realized she'd been worrying for nothing. The saw finally stopped. I caught a glimpse of her, peeking into the yard. Who's there? I called out. I thought I saw a flash of color, but I wasn't sure if it was a real person. Besides, Dahuang didn't bark, so I didn't think much of it. Turns out, someone actually answered. It's me. Don't you recognize your old classmate? I poked my head out and saw her. Wei realized I was shirtless. Majorly awkward. I scrambled to find a shirt. Couldn't see one in the room. Wei didn't know what was happening. Usually, seeing a shirtless guy at home wasn't a big deal to her. She never blushed before. But today, she was straight up blushing. Face was beet red. I bolted into the main room and threw on a tank top. I was going to invite her in, but she'd already walked into my workshop. I ran after her. She was super interested in the mortise and tenon joints I'd cut. Woodworking. That's my domain. After explaining it to her, the old classmate vibes started coming back. Wei smiled and asked, Did you really recognize me just now? I shook my head. Honestly, I wasn't 100% sure. But then I thought, who else could be this pretty? In the whole county, it had to be you, Wei. She pouted. You're such a smooth talker. She pointed to the pile of wood. What are you making? Modular cabinets, I said. They're huge in the south right now. She watched me work. So, you really earned that 10 yuan yourself? Absolutely, I said. If even 1 cent of it was fake. Let lightning strike me down right now. Stop, she cut in. She didn't physically cover my mouth, but she was clearly impressed. We kept talking about our old school days. It was almost lunchtime when she finally left. As soon as she got home, Wai Vai helped her mom set the table. She didn't waste any time. Dad, I'm marrying Hanzu. End of story. Shen Jishu was fuming. What's wrong with you? He yelled. You don't get to decide that. She stood her ground. I went to see him. I believe he earned that money himself. He can give me a good life. Besides, that city guy gives me bad vibes. He's so lackluster. Shen Jishu roared. What kind of magic did that kid use on you? Did you really go see him this morning? Wai Vai nodded. Yeah, we've been classmates since forever. We had a lot to talk about. Shen Jishu was losing it. He turned to his wife. Aren't you going to say something? His wife just casually said. What am I supposed to do? I can't lock her up. She has legs. It's not like the old days anymore. Shen Jishu stomped his feet. Why are you bringing that up in front of the kid? His wife snapped back. I'm being honest. What's wrong with that? Unlike some people who move in the shadows, doing shady business. Now, even Wai Vai was confused. But her parents always fought like this. She was used to it. Next day, I was ready for her this time. I heard her coming immediately. I pulled out a wooden figurine I'd carved all night. I couldn't sleep last night, I said, handing it to her. So I carved this based on you. But honestly, it doesn't capture half your beauty. Vai Vai took the figurine. She held it tight, her mind racing. She couldn't stay calm. It's really well done, she finally said. Then she turned and walked away. Once two people are on the same wavelength, it's game over. Even when you're just apart for a bit, like even if you just saw them this morning, in your head, that feeling of missing them starts hitting different. You just can't stop it. But during the day, I don't even have time to be in my feelings. I'm out here making every second count. That first set took 3 months, but there's no way the next 3 are gonna take 9, 4 or 5 months max. But I gotta grind to finish them in 4 and secure the bag. Time flies when you're on that hustle. Another day passes just like that. Shen Wai Wai shows up with a lunchbox full of food, packed with meat and eggs. My mouth is literally watering. It's been a minute since I've had real meat. Wai Vai leans on the workbench, with her chin in her hands. Eat up. I finish it all in record time. The food is so good, it's a total W. Before I can even wipe my face, Wai Vai pulls out 2 roasted sweet potatoes. Like it's a magic trick. She peels them in seconds, and smiles. I try to give mine back. You first, I say. She holds up the other one. I've got one too, dummy. We just look at each other and laugh. Mid-January hits, and the streets are crawling with vendors. I'm in my workshop working away, listening to the constant noise of people selling stuff. Carts rattling past, voices everywhere. But, honest, after having Wai Vai's home-cooked food, I haven't heard from her in 2 days. Just as I'm starting to miss her like crazy, another woman shows up uninvited. As soon as she opens her mouth, with that cold, petty attitude, I knew exactly who it was. It's my wife from my past life, no doubt. Sun Yuzhen scoffs, still thinking about Secretary Shen's little princess. The local beauty, Shen Wai Wai. Look, Hanzo, you need a reality check. Stay humble, and look in the mirror for once. They say you marry for character, and leave the looks for the side. Vai Vai is not for you. Since your sister already asked my dad, I'm not gonna play hard to get. I don't mind that you're broke. I'm down to struggle with you. Grinding together makes the success better, right? Am I right? I'm totally lost. Sun Yuzhen, since when did she stop being a gold digger? This is definitely suspicious. But what I didn't know was that the news about my sister bringing $10 to the Shens had already leaked. Once she heard My family actually had that kind of cash, regardless of how I got it. It was a serious bag. So, she decided to show up and shoot her shot. I don't care why she's here. I've lived through this once before. I'm not falling for the same trap twice. I just look at her and say, beat it. I'm not into you. She absolutely loses it. Hands on her hip, looking like a straight-up villain. Who do you think you are? Just because you have $10. You really think Secretary Shen cares? That small change. Keep dreaming about Weiwei, you loser. Let me tell you something. You're never getting with her. And when you come crawling back to me, the price is going up. I don't even flinch. I just push her out the door. Don't worry about me. I'd rather stay single forever than be with you. Bye, Felicia. Meanwhile, Shen Weiwei is in her room, fuming. She's officially grounded by her dad. But she's not even that mad at him. He's her dad after all. She's just worried about me, what I'm eating or drinking. She doesn't even realize it yet, but she's already completely caught feelings. The dog starts barking outside. Weiwei jumps up and starts pounding on the door. Anyone there? Hello. Her mom shouts back, stop that noise. Weiwei complains, Mom, why aren't you on my side? I always have your back when you're fighting with Dad. Did you forget? Her mom rolls her eyes. You really like that kid that much? Weiwei nods like crazy. Of course. We grew up together. I know him. Mom, didn't you say you wanted to marry a classmate back then? If you hadn't been sent to the country, Dad wouldn't even have had a chance. Mom huffs. I also told you to work hard and marry into the city, to get away from this place. Why didn't you listen to that? Weiwei snaps back. Anyway, I'm marrying Han Zhao, not that city weakling. He gives me such bad vibes. Mom asks suspiciously, how do you even know he's a weakling? Don't talk trash about people. Weiwei says softly. I wasn't sure at first, but after seeing Hansu's energy and drive, I'm 100% sure now. That city guy is definitely a red flag. Mom gets close to the door. What energy are you talking about? What exactly is going on between you two? Weiwei blushes. OMG. Mom, it's not like that. Hanso is out there working shirtless in the cold. Could that city guy even do that? Mom pokes her forehead. City guys have it easy. They don't need to struggle like that. Just stay put. Wait until your dad gets back. Actually, rumors have been flying around that the city guy is actually sick, always on meds. Secretary Shen didn't believe it at first, but he sent someone to double-check. Then he comes back fuming, with the nervous matchmaker, Meng Dezui, behind him. The matchmaker tries to explain. Secretary Shen, I swear I didn't know. You gotta believe me. I'm innocent. Secretary Shen doesn't care. He tells his wife to bring out all the gifts and money. He gives it back and makes Meng Dezui sign a receipt. The matchmaker scrambles out of there. Inside, the grounded Weiwei is shouting her head off. Can I go out now? Secretary Shen waves his hand, and his wife lets her out. As soon as she's free, she bolts for the door. Freeze! Her dad roars. Where do you think you're going in the dark? Think about your reputation. I don't care what's going on. You are not going out. Weiwei stops in her tracks. She turns back with a sweet smile. Old Shen immediately cools down. The Shen family took a serious hit to their pride with that city guy. It's definitely going to be the talk of the town. Now, whether my family comes back and how they do it is crucial. Secretary Shen is hoping my brother-in-law comes back like last time, with the $10 and the cigarettes. That would be a literal miracle. He pulls out his pipe. As soon as the match was struck, His wife shouted from outside, "Honey, get out here, quick." Secretary Shen was annoyed, but he still got up to see what the fuss was. But the moment he reached the gate, that grumpy, stony face of his softened instantly. He hurried over with a smile. "Brother Zhao, come in, please." This time, Zhao Jin and his wife brought way more than just 2 cartons of cigarettes. They had 2 bottles of top-tier booze, 2 massive pork legs, and 2 10-pound fish. This was a total flex, way beyond what Shen expected. Seeing the old man's reaction, Zhao Jin knew listening to his wife was the right call again. The 4 of them walked into the yard, all smiles. Shen Weiwei came out to meet them, greeting them warmly. "Third sis, brother-in-law." Shen waved his hand. "Weiwei, go make some tea." After all the drama, he was low-key starting to respect me. His future son-in-law, a whole lot more. Plus, the Liu family really knew how to handle business. They were covering all their bases. Real class acts. The vibe was great, and everyone was getting along. He accepted the 10 yuan bride price in full, but returned one of everything else. Liquor, fish, pork. That's just how we do things around here. At this point, Zhou Jin and Sis thought their mission was pretty much accomplished. But then, Shen Jishu actually brought it up himself. "Zhao, when do you think we should have the wedding? And what's the plan?" Zhou Jin took a second. "Whatever you say, old man, I'm all ears. I won't argue with your calls. If we can do it, we will. If we can't, we'll move mountains to make it happen." Shen laughed. "Listen, let's just get it done before the new year. My youngest isn't getting any younger. In other families, she'd already have kids by now." Zhou Jin played it cool. The new year is only a few days away. Rushing it might feel like we're slighting her. Before Shen could even respond, Shen Weiwei was already shaking her head. "No, like crazy." My sister just laughed. She thought her future sister-in-law was adorable. Secretary Shen waved it off. "No slight at all. The dowry is ready to go. Just need the big appliances and a few new outfits. Hansu just needs to set up the room and the bed. If you guys need help, just say the word." Since old man Shen was being this chill, Zhou Jin said, "That's all I needed to hear. I'll handle Hanzhao's side. If it's not perfect, you can hold me responsible." The deal was struck. They almost stayed for a celebratory drink before leaving. On the way home, they stopped by my place. From down the road, Zhou Jin was already shouting for me. When I walked out, he was hyped. "Hanzhao, you're getting married." I hadn't even finished my dinner. "Wait, what? Did Secretary Shen actually say yes?" Zhou Jin waited for his wife to get off the bike. He smiled. "Just like you thought. That city guy was a total weakling." Shen was livid about it. "Your sister and I struck while the iron was hot. It was a slam dunk." Sis nudged him. "You make it sound like a game." It was destiny. I saw the pork leg and the fish she was carrying. I knew what was up. I grinned. My sister and brother-in-law are the MVPs. Secretary Shen must have felt so respected. There's no way he'd say no to that vibe. Zhao Jin looked at my bowl of corn porridge. He licked his lips. "Got any more?" "We haven't even eaten yet." I laughed. Perfect timing. I just made a fresh pot. Still half full. "Bed. We can eat while we plan. We need to get your wedding ready." I turned back to them. Wait, what's the rush? Wai is moving in before the new year. That's Shen Jishu's call." I thought about it. I wanted to earn more money first. Give her the wedding she deserves. Sis came out with 2 big bowls of porridge. She handed one to her husband. Life together is a marathon, not a sprint. She's moving in sooner or later. Don't get hung up on the timing. And don't feel like you're letting her down. The 3 of us sat there, talking wedding prep over porridge. Actually, Sis did most of the talking. Zhao Jing just nodded along. Since he was the one who had to execute the plan, the only thing I had to do myself, build the wedding bed. I shrugged. Consider it done. Even if I don't eat or sleep, it's gonna be a masterpiece. Zhao Jing gave me a knowing look. By the time we finalized all the details, it was almost 9 p.m. Sis got up in a hurry. Oh man, she mumbled. Xiao wins, probably already asleep at Mom's. Hope he didn't throw a tantrum. After they left, I was too hyped to sleep, tossing and turning in my room. I grabbed a piece of wood. I didn't even need the light. I could carve Weiwei's face by heart. She was all I could think about. Suddenly, there was a noise in the yard. I set down the figurine, holding my carving knife tight, peering through the door. Under the bright moonlight, I saw someone sneaking toward the workshop door. "Who's there?" I roared. I lunged at him, being 6 feet tall and moving like a beast. Plus he knew he was caught. His legs just gave out. In seconds, I had the thief pinned and threw him into the yard. Only then did I check on Da Huang. The dog had been drugged. I lost it and gave the thief a solid kick. He was crying and begging for mercy, swearing it was just a sleeping pill. Even so, I mixed some soapy water and forced it down the dog's throat. After a few minutes, he started to come around. He threw up the water. I still wasn't over it and kicked the guy again. He was howling. And then he started crying for real. He looked so pathetic I almost laughed. I grabbed a flashlight from inside and shined it on his face. He looked familiar. "Start talking," I said coldly. "What's your name? Who are you?" He stammered. "I'll talk. I'm He Day Song. Most people call me Songzi. I'm from Erdaoizi. It's just me and my folks left. Please, don't hit me." His face was familiar, but the name He Day Song rang even more bells. "Is it just you?" I pushed. "Any partners?" He was hesitant. "Someone told me to do it. Does that count as a partner?" "Who?" I barked. "Sun Yuzhan. She said you had won $0 for a bride price. So, you must be loaded." Next morning, I dragged He Song to the village office. Conveniently, Secretary Shen was there. I told the security chief to take him to the police and give him a proper interrogation. Songzi looked like he'd seen a ghost. He was shaking uncontrollably. I said bye to my future father-in-law and left. I was walking back home, head down, when I heard the sound of a bike bell and some light laughter. I turned around and smiled. "Oh, hey," Shen Weiwei teased. "Surprise. You're walking pretty fast." I had to pedal hard just to catch up. She gripped her bike handles. "Hop on. I'll give you a lift." I laughed. "You said yourself. It took effort to catch me. If I get on, you'll be even slower." Shen Weiwei tilted her head back. "Whatever, let's just go." We raced back home together. Shen Weiwei finally realized what had actually happened that night. She was fuming. Those toxic scumbags. They actually had the audacity to rob us. We hadn't been home for long. And while Weiwei was mixing some food for Da Huang, Sun Yuzhen showed up looking like a total mess, screaming for us to give back her man. I didn't even want to give her the time of day. She sat right down on the ground in front of my gate, wailing and causing a scene to draw a crowd. This whole Karen act. Honestly, it's a nightmare for any guy to handle. But Weiwei just pushed me inside. "I got this," she said. "Let me handle her." I was skeptical. "Are you sure? I don't want you getting hurt." But after putting me in the house, Weiwei walked back to the gate. She looked at the hysterical Sun Yuzhen and just laughed in her face. You really thought you could marry my Hanzhou? Keep dreaming, sweetie. I'm Shen Weiwei, and you're not even in my league." Back off, my man. Sun Yusin was absolutely stunned. She thought I was an easy target she could bully. Who would have thought the spoiled Shen Weiwei would be this savage? The neighbors all knew that the Lu and Shen families were official now. The Sun family? They were irrelevant. Just like that, Sun Yuzhen realized she'd made a massive mistake. She tried to get up and bolt, but Weiwei wasn't about to let her off that easy. Since you couldn't steal my man, you sent your little side piece Dasong to steal the bride price. Just wait. The police are going to be here any second. But hey, at least you two will have a place to stay for the holidays. Saves you some money, right? Right then, a blue and white police motorcycle actually pulled up. An officer got off and walked straight up to her. Sun Yuzhen, you're coming with me. She collapsed to the ground, totally defeated. The motorcycle roared away with her. The crowd of neighbors cleared out. Weiwei walked back into the workshop, head high, looking like a victorious general. Did I slay, or what? I gave her a big thumbs up. Total respect. After the excitement died down, she saw me starting on a different batch of wood. These pieces were long and thick, built to last. What's this for? She asked. Seems way too heavy for a cabinet. I checked the alignment and smiled. I'm building a bed, the one we'll share. The moment I said that, her whole face turned bright red. I showed her a few pages from a catalog to distract her. The blush slowly started to fade. This one is Royal Western style. This is traditional Chinese. And this one's modern Chinese. Which vibe do you like? Weiwei looked through them. They're all really nice, she said. As long as it's solid, I'm happy. She was too shy to give a real opinion. So, I had to figure it out. I kept sketching and trashing ideas, trying to find the perfect one. Weiwei felt bad watching me struggle. Honestly, Hanzo, she said softly, it's just a bed. Don't stress over it too much. I looked her in the eye. This wedding is so rushed. We don't even have a new house yet. I feel like I'm failing you. I can't give you a mansion right now, but I can at least give you the best bed possible. Weiwei was completely speechless. She just stood there, holding her burning cheeks. She whispered to herself, Weiwei girl, you are totally 100% in love. That afternoon, it warmed up a bit. My brother-in-law showed up with a load of lime, cement, and a truckload of sand. We were on a deadline. The wedding was only 10 days away. We could only give the old house a fresh coat of paint. At least it would look new on the surface. I passed out cigarettes to everyone, then left the renovations to him and his crew. In no time the doghouse was gone. Poor Da Huang was tied up near the pigpen instead. Weiwei didn't say anything, but then they started tearing down the old chicken coop. She mumbled, Hey, I was planning to raise some chickens. You know, for the eggs. I smiled. Don't worry. By next year, we're tearing this whole place down. I'll build you whatever you want. Her eyes lit up with hope. But then, she got worried again. But that'll cost so much money. I just laughed it off. Money is for spending, isn't it? Just then my brother-in-law rushed in. Hey, Hanzo, I almost forgot to tell you. Someone in the village wants modular cabinets. They want that fancy, laminated finish. Stylish and easy to clean. I nodded. Got it. No problem. And listen, he added, don't worry about giving them a deal. They're loaded. And with that, he was gone. I shrugged at Weiwei. See, told you the money would come in. She was beaming. They're so good to us, aren't they? Next morning, getting closer to the big day. Getting closer to the wedding. Third sister and her husband arrived early. Wei-si. Then came fourth sister, Chunxia. Second sister, Linxia. Just made it in from the county. And finally, the eldest, Mixia, arrived. This was Wai's first time meeting all of them, as the bride-to-be. She was a nervous wreck. She had no idea. The absolute drama that was about to go down. Third sister knew what was coming. So she told me to take Wai into town for a bit. Don't scare her off before she's even part of the family. Take her for a ride. I needed materials for the bed anyway. Leather, foam, some fancy hardware. So I took the bike, and we headed off, back in the house. Around the table, the four Lu sisters were facing off. Eldest Maxia was at the head, but everyone knew it was Shaxia who was running the show. Our parents were good to us, she started. They set us all up. We all got married off well. But the money they saved for Hanzhou, he spent every cent of it on their medical bills, so we didn't have to. He didn't ask us for a single penny. Now he's finally getting a chance at a life. He's starting a family. As his sisters, shouldn't we be the ones to step up for him? I'm putting in 300. She slammed the cash onto the table. The eldest sister just looked away. The second sister followed her lead. They weren't moving. Finally, the fourth sister put down 200. She didn't say a word. But Shaoxia wasn't done. Maxia, Linxia, our parents are watching. You're the eldest. Are you really going to act like this doesn't matter? How can you even sleep at night? I'm broke, Mixia snapped back. And besides, he already gave them $10. He clearly doesn't need our help. Shaoxia completely lost it. She slammed her hand on the table. I'm just saying, even if you only gave a tiny bit, it would at least show you have a heart as the eldest sister. Even if Hanzhou is rolling in cash now, how can you, his own sister, not contribute anything? Do you seriously have zero conscience? The tension in the room was 10-10. Even the workers outside felt the chill. Someone nudged my third brother-in-law. Yo, your wife is popping off. Shouldn't you go calm her down? He stayed firm. Nah, I'm good. I trust her to handle this. And he was right. After my sisters ran, second sister glanced at our parents' altar, bit her lip, and pulled out a handkerchief tied with cash. She put $100 on the table. You know my situation, she said softly. This is all I can manage right now. Third sister finally let out a breath. With this 600 total, she could finally throw our brother a legit wedding. She was satisfied. Then, eldest sister suddenly tossed $50 down. She looked like she couldn't care less. That's all I'm giving. Don't expect another cent. Third sister picked it up and gave a dry laugh. Look, Mixia, if Hanzhou hadn't told me not to get physical, you wouldn't be leaving here with a single penny. And Hanzhou said himself, he'll remember who stepped up today. He plans to pay back every penny. You should be grateful you have a brother this solid. In any other family, the parents would have drained us dry by now. Eldest sister relaxed a bit. She shrugged. Whatever, it's still just 50. Third sister didn't push it. Fine, 50 it is. Hanzhou isn't stupid. He knows exactly who's looking out for him. Think of this as an investment, not just a donation. Hanzhou is destined for big things. Later on you'll wish you'd stayed on his good side. Now that she had the cash and had said her piece, she was done with them. Eldest and second sisters left pretty quickly. Only fourth sister stayed behind. She followed third sister around for a bit before speaking up. Hey, sis. I'll handle the wedding betting for Hanzhou. Third sister raised an eyebrow. You sure? Your husband won't catch an attitude about it. Chunxia mumbled. Nah, it'll be fine. Meanwhile, I was pedaling the bike down the gravel road, cutting through the village. The winter wind was biting. Wai had given me her scarf, but she was sitting on the back shivering. I was too focused on our shopping list at first. When I realized, I pulled over immediately. I smacked my forehead. My bad, I'm such a klutz. I was totally spaced out. You're freezing. Wai's cheeks were bright red. She still managed a joke though. I didn't think you could pedal that fast. She let me wrap her scarf back around her, snugging it tight. Then, we set off again. When we hit the Qingdong market, I parked the bike at the entrance. I grabbed Wai's hand and headed inside. I picked out a large piece of brown leather and some high-density foam. The hardware was top-tier quality. I specifically chose rose gold for the accent sets, matched with the brown leather and natural wood. It was going to look so aesthetic. We were walking back, hand in hand, when I spotted a pile of heavy-duty springs, perfect for making a real mattress. I had a major brain blast. A fancy bed is cool, but a spring mattress? That's a flex? I decided right then to go for it. I spent a good while picking the best ones. The bill ended up being $200. Wai saw me buying so much stuff and was totally confused. Why are you buying so many springs? I gave her a mysterious look. You'll see. After that we headed home. Since I bought so much, I insisted they deliver everything to our door. When we got back, the sisters were already gone. It was just the workers and my brother-in-law. They were finishing up the last bits of the house. I said hi, and then headed straight to the workshop. I started sketching the design for the mattress. Late that afternoon, my brother-in-law gave each worker a pack of cigarettes and sent them on their way. He came into the workshop and tossed me a smoke. All your sisters contributed cash, even Maxia. I was surprised. Sis must have really popped off on them. He laughed. It wasn't that bad. You know her. She just doesn't want this family to drift apart. I took a drag. I get it. Don't worry, bro. As long as Waive and I are successful, this family will stay tight. He nodded, smiling. She'll be glad to hear that. By the 15th, the house was done. The crew didn't need to come back. I swept the yard. The whole place looked brand new. Then, the delivery from the market arrived. I double-checked everything and paid the balance. As soon as they left, Waive rode her bike into the yard. She was doing victory laps, clearly wanting me to notice. Her brand new outfit, from head to toe. I smiled. You look stunning. She hopped off the bike, beaming with joy. My mom made this for me. I wanted you to see it first. Wow, I said. Your mom has serious skills. But honestly, you'd look good in anything. She giggled. Smooth talker. I started organizing the new materials. I handed the bright red fabric to Waiwa. Then, I pulled out the mattress sketches and gave her the measurements for the cover. She grabbed the sketch. Wait, what exactly is this? I explained. Ever heard of a Simmons mattress? It's going to be super soft. Wai was shook. Wait, you're a carpenter. But you can even make a mattress. Is there anything you can't do? I laughed. I promised you the best wedding bed, and I meant it. After we went over the style and sizes, she set down her lunchbox and rushed home to start sewing. The days flew by. Third sister was handling all the wedding prep. She was busy buying stuff and sending out invites. She was in her element. I was constantly working too. The bed was finished, and the mattress was almost done. More people even started ordering my cabinets. They'd seen the ones I made for Director Liu and wanted their own. Director Liu was the first rich client I had in the city. I'd left my info there after the install. Everything was coming together. I'd already sold 2 more sets. Life was looking up. It was the 25th, right after the little new year. Wai finally brought over the mattress cover. We hauled the bed frame, the mattress, and the cover into the newly renovated room. We started setting up the massive king-size bed. Once we got the cover on and placed the mattress, it was a perfect fit. The alignment was literal fire. Everything was flawless. Then, third sister called out from the gate, "Hans ho, why vi?" We ran out to meet her. "Go get your marriage license today," she said, "and stop by the department store. Get YY a genuine Shanghai watch. She deserves something nice." She stuffed $200 into my hand. YY tried to refuse, but she couldn't stop me. "Whatever. In for a penny, in for a pound. More debt, more chill. A couple $100 won't make a difference now." The department store was usually empty, but now it was packed with people buying for the new year. I picked a Shanghai brand watch for Shen YY. After getting the leather shoes, I only had 20 yuan lefty. Passing the furniture section, I saw an imported Simmons mattress priced at 2 yuan. YY was totally shook, but after the shock, she started flexing, low-key proud. On the way back, YY sat on the back and held me tight. I kept a steady pace, then suddenly pulled over at a corner. I planted my feet and pointed to the roadside. "Check out that furniture," I said. YY got off the bike, confused. The only stall there was full of old, broken furniture. I hopped off the bike to take a closer look. These pieces were basically artifacts. Looking at the craftsmanship and carvings, I was sure they were made by Shangshan Bang masters. It's a shame I was broke. Otherwise, I'd have bought the lot. A little renovation, and I could sell them to collectors for a massive profit. I felt a bit gutted, but just as I was leaving, I spotted an old Thai-style chair with a broken leg. Under the years of grime, the wood grain looked very familiar. It looked like rosewood. I took a sneaky second look. Definitely rosewood. High quality, Huanghuali, no doubt. I acted casual and asked the guy, "How much for the furniture?" The middle-aged guy had his hands in his sleeves, looking totally chill. "Which one you looking at?" I looked away from the chair and tapped the octagonal table instead. "This table? $100, he said. I gave him a look. "I'm serious about buying. Will you take 20? After some back and forth, he finally gave in. "Fine, 20 yuan for 2 pieces, max. Pick what you want. But once we're settled, no refunds." I acted like it was a tough deal. "Fine." Then, I spent a while digging through the trash, checking if there was any more Huanghuali hidden. Even a chair leg would have been worth it. After stalling for a bit, I grabbed the chair and the footstool and paid up. YY and I spent ages tying them to the bike. Then we headed off. Once we were down the road, YY finally asked, "Was it the chair you really wanted? What's the secret?" I was in a great mood, so I didn't hide it. "It's Huanghuali, a little fix-up, and I can sell it for a fortune." YY was hype. 600 yuan. That's insane. I just said, "Sick." YY gasped. "Okay, ride slowly then. Don't you dare scratch this treasure." When we got home, fourth sister had delivered all the new bedding. It was piled high on the wedding bed. YY gave her a huge hug. "Thanks, sis." Fourth sister patted her hair and said gently, "Don't mention it. It's the least I could do. As long as you and Lu Hanzhou are happy, I'm happy." Deck 27th, Lunar, which was actually Valentine's Day, Feb 14. Secretary Shen picked this for the wedding day. He clearly put some thought into it. Before sunrise, as soon as the rooster crowed, YY hopped out of bed. She put on her wedding dress and started her makeup. By the time her mom walked in, YY was already dressed and halfway through her makeup. Her mom sighed. "Look at her, so excited. She's really leaving the nest." isn't she? Wai rushed to the main hall, sat down, and started inhaling her breakfast. Her dad, Shen Jishu, looked stern. He tapped the table with his chopsticks. "You're starting a family now," he said. "You need to be more composed. Stop acting like a reckless kid." Wai slowed down. "I know, Dad." He looked a bit lonely. "This 200 yuan is from your mom and me. Keep it for yourself. Don't tell Hanzo." Wai tried to refuse. "Dad, no. We're young. We can earn our own way." But her mom stuffed the cash into her pocket anyway. Meanwhile, at the Lu house, I dropped Da Huang off at the neighbor's. When I turned around, my brother-in-law had arrived with the crew. The yard was a hive of activity, building stoves and setting up tents. Outside the gate, bright red double happiness posters went up. Red decorations lined the path to the village entrance. Third sister was making breakfast. I saw her wiping away tears. I probably should have given her a hug, but after living 2 lives, I'm still bad at that. But I felt it deeply. Third sister worked in the kitchen, while her husband managed everything outside. As the sun came up, more people started arriving. Everything was running like clockwork. I actually had nothing to do. I sat in the room, looking at the decorations. It was a bit overwhelming. Soon the band and the procession arrived. It was officially time for me to get into character. Around 8 or 9 a.m., my sisters and their kids arrived. The moment had come. Amidst the roar of firecrackers, I was ushered out the door. I led a fleet of 9 identical Phoenix bicycles. We were off. The procession was a whole vibe, setting off firecrackers at every bridge, handing out candy and smokes to everyone we passed. We definitely drew a crowd. As a respected local official, Secretary Shen was marrying off his favorite daughter. It was the event of the year. The place was absolutely packed. It took me half an hour just to reach the front gate. The crowd blocking the door were mostly Wai's relatives. I smiled and handed out a wedding cigarette. Half the crowd cleared out immediately. 10 minutes later, and after sacrificing 6 packs of smokes, the gates finally opened. I greeted Secretary Shen and his wife. I hadn't changed my title for them yet. Then I greeted the rest of the family, the siblings and their spouses. I handed out red envelopes to the kids. Secretary Shen hurried me along. "It's getting late. Go get Wai." I took a deep breath. 2 more doors to go, and I was low-key losing my patience. I let the professionals in my squad handle the talk. I didn't care how much candy or smoke it cost. I just wanted in. It only took 10 minutes to get through the final doors. And there she was. Wai was glowing. I smiled. "In the 15 years I've known you, you've never looked more stunning." The room erupted in cheers and screams. I put her red shoes on for her. Wai reached out and wiped the sweat off my forehead. That caused another round of cheers. As the crowd parted, I led Wai to the main hall to serve tea to her parents. Changing how I addressed him, Shen Jishu was really feeling his new son-in-law. At the very least, I gave him some serious bragging rights. He happily gave his blessing, took the tea, gave the red envelope, and saw his daughter off. According to custom, the bride's feet shouldn't touch the ground when leaving home. So I just gave her a princess carry and walked her straight out the door. Once we were out of the Shen house, amidst the roar of firecrackers, I got Wai settled on the back of the bike. No turning back now. I just followed the squad and kept rolling. Our wedding party headed off in style, and the dowry procession the Shens arranged followed right behind us. Unlike our 9 bicycle squad, the dowry team was massive. 18 clean flatbed carts, each loaded with a piece of heavy furniture, or part of her dowry. By the time we got back to the Lu house, the last cart was only just leaving the Shen's place. When the bride arrived, thousands of firecrackers went off, stepping over the fire pit to ditch the bad vibes. Since my parents are gone, my brother-in-law invited my master, Zhang Si, to take the tea. It was a huge honor for him, and he was more than happy to do it. Finally, amidst even more firecrackers outside, I took Wai to our room so she could rest. The banquet was officially starting. Tired, but hype, I stuffed a handful of peanut candy into her hand so she could have a quick snack. Then I went out to play host. All the Lu family relatives were crowding into the room to meet the new bride, facing so many smiling strangers. Wai felt a little overwhelmed. Luck, my eldest sister, actually stepped up. She stayed by Wai's side, introducing everyone to her, so she could get used to being the lady of the house. I headed out to make sure the Shen's procession team was fed. They were led by Wai's uncle, who was clearly a sharp guy who'd seen a lot. The team stayed for the wedding feast, but, obviously, they just had a few bites before heading out. Their main event was back at the Shen house, with over 10 tables set up. The yard smelled so good. It felt like New Year's came early. The kids who were playing in our room disappeared in a flash once the food was served. I took the chance to bring some meatballs in it for my wife to try. By the time the banquet finished and the guests left, it was already 9 p.m. Once the plans for tomorrow were set, my sister dragged her husband home. Everything went quiet. It was freezing outside, but inside was cozy and warm. One night of romance, then it was the 28th. The neighbor's rooster had only crowed twice when Wai forced herself out of bed. Despite the morning fatigue, she opened the gate to sweep the yard, only to find my sister and her husband already waiting. Wai was so touched. She almost cried. "Why didn't you call me?" My sister brushed the frost off her scarf. "What for? We just got here." She grabbed the broom from Wai and whispered, "Sleep well last night." Wai's whole face turned bright red. She bit her lip and just nodded. My sister beamed. "Go rest. We've got this." Wai went to boil some water instead. By the time the yard was clean, I was finally up too. Today, we were visiting the Shens for the first time as a married couple, and we had to host Wai's brothers here too. Sis heated up some food. We all had breakfast together. Then, we got our gifts ready: smokes booze, malted milk, honey, and sweets. It was a whole haul. Wai was hesitant. "Sis, this is way too much." "Nonsense," Sis replied with a laugh. "With such a generous dowry from your dad, we can't be awkward about it. We've got to show proper respect." I settled it. "Listen to Sis, babe." When the time was right, we hopped on the bike and headed to her parents' place. The first visit home is a big deal for a new son-in-law. But as soon as I greeted them, Shen Jishu pulled me aside. His brother, Shen Gufu, was already waiting. Shen Jishu looked serious. "Is it true you're starting a furniture factory? You for real?" I passed them some cigarettes and said, "Dad, Uncle, I'm definitely doing it. Right now, I have more orders than I can handle alone. I'm working day and night, but I'm just one guy. I just need everything to fall into place." Dad asked what I needed. "Space, people, and cash are obvious," I said, "but the most important thing is local policy." Shen Gufu suggested, "With my brother here, can't you just open it under the village's name?" Before I could explain, Dad shut it down. "What about ownership? It'd be a mess if the ownership isn't clear. Once Hanzhou makes it big, the leeches will be impossible to stop." Gufu had no comeback for that. He just sat in silence. Then Dad turned back to me. Could you just hire some guys as apprentices? That works. I nodded. But I just finished my own apprenticeship. Who's gonna want to learn from me? Don't worry about that, Dad said confidently. Finding a few hard-working kids is easy work for me. Thanks, Dad. I smiled. I really appreciate it. He waved me off. We're family now. Go eat. I'll talk to your uncle. As I left, I heard Gofu say, "You found a real winner, brother. He's going to be a legend." Dad leaned back, looking pretty smug. I'm just a village official. What do I know? But, honestly, he's the best of his generation. Even better than the principal. Chen Yu married. Wai Wei really hit the jackpot with this guy. In the main hall, Shen Jishu took a pack of Yipin Mei cigarette from his wife. He opened them and offered one to my brother-in-law, while sticking to his pipe. I'm just used to this, he explained. Then, he noticed my sister, putting 2 more cartons on the table. Why are you spending so much? He asked. Zhao Jin looked at his wife, grinned, and said, Old Shen, we're here with some happy news. If you agree, our 2 families will be closer than ever. The sharp old Shen knew what was up immediately. He got straight to the point. So, who are you proposing for? My brother-in-law smiled. My brother-in-law, Lu Hanzu. He just finished his apprenticeship. He's talented, hardworking, and strong. You've seen it yourself. But, before he could finish, Shen Jishu cut him off. Wait, Zhou Jin, you know what I've told everyone, right? Wai Wei is my favorite. She deserves a good life in the city, right? Wai Wei is my absolute favorite daughter. She's a high school grad, talented, and a literal 10-10. It's not a reach to want her in the city with a good life, right? My brother-in-law's face fell, but he pushed through. I get it. I totally get it. Then he pulled out the 10 yuan, wrapped in red paper, and slammed it on the table. Secretary Shen, here's the $10 you asked for. My brother-in-law earned every cent of this on his own. The ink isn't even dry yet, and he already sent us over to propose. Right then, 2 pigtails peeked out from behind the curtain. It was the one and only Shen Weiwei. Hearing that I was the one proposing, she felt a spark. She already thought I was a solid guy. She knew I was reliable. But when she heard I earned that $10 bag myself, she was definitely impressed. She was low-key catching feelings. But Shen Jishu wasn't letting it slide that easily. In his eyes, that 10 yuan was definitely pooled by Zhou Jin's family. He thought they were capping about Lu Hanzhao, earning it, just to make the marriage happen. He paused, then said, Hanzu, I know the kid. He's a hard worker, sure, but he doesn't have city residency. Let's be real here. If my girl marries him, she's stuck grinding on a farm forever. She'll never escape the village. So look, Brother Zhao, I'm going to have to say no. With that, Secretary Shen stood up and pushed the cigarettes back to Zhou Jin. His mind was made up. They left the Shen house. On their way back, they stopped by my place. Da Huang barked as they headed straight for the workshop. They saw me still grinding under the workshop lights. Total focus. My brother-in-law sighed. The rejection was written all over his face. I got up to pour water, but my sister beat me to it. I offered my brother-in-law a cigarette. I should have sent a middleman instead, I said softly. Saves you from losing face. He waved me off, blew a smoke ring and said, Who cares about my face? Holding that $10 you made. I was flexing hard. The problem is, old Shen doesn't believe you earned it. And his reality check about the city life. I couldn't really argue with that. I nodded. He was being real. Can't blame him for that. It's fine, bro. He leaned in close. I also heard some city guy already proposed. And Shen Jishu actually took his gifts. So, Hansu, you scared? Before he could finish, I cut in. Can you find out who this guy is? I bet he's a total red flag. Something feels. Jo Jin didn't take me seriously. He thought I was just being a hater because I was obsessed with Shen YY, but he nodded anyway. I'll ask around for you. I'll check the tea. I added, also, bro, see if anyone else wants these modular cabinets. 200 a set, full service. He nodded. Bet, I'll ask. I stood up. Get home safe. It's dark. I won't keep you guys. Get some rest. On the way home, Jo Jin rode his bike in silence for a while. Then he finally said, "Hey, did you notice? Hansu feels like a different person." My sister didn't even notice. "Not really," she said. "He's still just as stubborn. This YY obsession is giving me a headache. If he'd just marry the sun girl, like I said, he wouldn't have to struggle so hard." Jo Jin whispered, "Look, that sun girl. I heard she's moving shady with a few guys. Might just be rumors, though." Sis was shocked. "For real?" he sighed. "We'll find out eventually. Secrets don't stay buried." She waved it off. "Whatever. Just help me check out that city guy's background, so Hanso can finally move on." Jo Jin agreed, but he couldn't stop thinking about Hanjo. He didn't act like a hot-headed 20-something. He felt like an old soul, like Shen himself. Next morning, the wind was biting. I woke up and made some porridge with dried sweet potatoes. Had it with some pickled veggies. Quick breakfast. I gave the rest to Da Huang. He was loving it. Then I got to work. Gloves on, earplugs in. I was using the electric saw on the wood today. Gonna be busy all morning. Someone was at the gate around 9, but I didn't hear a thing. Shen YY realized she was worrying for nothing. The saw finally stopped. She peeked into the yard, and I caught her in my peripheral. "Who's there?" I called out. I saw a flash of color, but wasn't sure if it was a real person. Da Huang didn't even bark, so I didn't think much of it. Turns out, someone actually answered. "It's me. Don't tell me you forgot your old classmate." I poked my head out and saw her. I realized I was shirtless. Super awkward. Scrambled to find a shirt. Nothing in the room. Shen YY was stunned. Back at home, seeing shirtless guys was normal. She never used to blush. But today, she was straight up beet red. I mean, glowing red. I bolted into the house to find a tank top. I was going to invite her into the main room, but she already walked into my workshop, so I followed her. She was super interested in the joint models I'd been cutting. This was my territory. After I explained it all, the old school vibes came back. YY smiled and asked, "Did you really recognize me earlier?" I shook my head. Honestly, I wasn't 100% sure. But then I thought, around here, who else is this gorgeous? It had to be you, YY. She pouted. "You're such a smooth talker." She pointed to the pile of wood. "What are you making?" "Modular cabinets," I said. "The latest trend from the South." She watched me work. "Wait, so you really earned that $0 yourself?" "Absolutely," I said. "If even 1 cent of it was fake, let lightning strike me down." "Stop it," she cut in. She didn't actually cover my mouth, but she was clearly in her feelings. We talked about our old school days until almost lunchtime. She didn't really want to leave. When she got home, she helped her mom set the table. She got straight to the point. "Dad, I'm marrying Lu Hanshu." Shen Jishu was livid. "Are you crazy?" he yelled. "You don't make the rules." She stood her ground. "I went to see him. I believe he earned that money himself. He can take care of me." "That city guy? He gave me bad vibes." He looked like a total weakling. Secretary Shen roared. What did that kid do to you? Did you seriously go find him this morning? Vai nodded. Yeah, we grew up together. We had a lot to catch up on. We talked for ages. Shen Sishu, pissed off, he turned to his wife as she brought out the dishes. Are you really just going to let her act like this? Shen's mother said calmly, what am I supposed to do? She has her own legs. Do you really think I can lock her down? You still think we're living in the old days? Shen Jishu was fuming. He stomped his feet. Why are you bringing this up in front of her? Shen's mother snapped back. I'm keeping it real. I've got nothing to hide. Unlike some people who move in the shadows, doing all kinds of shady stuff. Now even Wai was lost, but her parents were always bickering like this. She was totally used to it. One day, Deck 10th, unlike yesterday, I heard someone coming immediately. I knew it was Wai. I pulled out the figurine I'd spent all night carving. I handed it to her. I couldn't sleep last night. So, I carved this of you. Doesn't even come close to the real thing, though. Wai took the wooden carving, her heart racing. She was definitely in her feelings. After a long beat, she whispered, "It's really good." Then she turned and walked off. Once you're on the same wavelength, there's no stopping it, even a short time apart. Like even if I just saw her this morning, in my head, I was missing her like crazy. It was inescapable. But during the day, I didn't have time to be soft. I had to make every second count. The first cabinet set took me 3 months. But for the other 3, there was no way they were taking 9, 4 or 5 months, tops. I had to grind to finish them in 4, so I could secure the bag. Time flies when you're on that hustle. Another day passed just like that. Wai showed up with a lunchbox full of food, packed with meat and eggs. I was literally drooling. I hadn't tasted meat in forever. Wai leaned on the workbench, watching me eat up. I finished it all in a flash. I was covered in grease, but before I could even wipe my face, Wai pulled out 2 roasted sweet potatoes. Like it was magic. She peeled them quickly and offered one. I tried to give her mine. You eat first, I said. She held up the other one. I've got one too, dummy. We just looked at each other and laughed. Mid-December hit, and the streets were full of vendors. Working away in the workshop, I could hear the noise of people selling stuff, voices fading in and out of the street. But, honestly, after having Wai's home-cooked food, I hadn't heard from her in 2 whole days. Just as I was starting to miss her like crazy, another woman showed up uninvited.